To quote a line from The Maker by Daniel Lanois, I've run a twisted line, and I've been, end quote, and I've been somewhat fit to be tied. But here we are, and without further ado, I'm just going to hit play and let this speak for itself.
The SSB recruited me to dispatch and ride the secret line. Washington to Richmond, hidden by friends in old gold mines. I didn't know I'd meet a gal that cut her hair, wearing gray, fighting a war, riding her mare. She followed me into the fray of the spy game. We married in a war-torn evening rain. We rose from the ashes, carrying letters we held. Our mission was clear in the wilderness where we dwelled. We'd ride all day, sometimes through the night, making love when we rested by campfire light. It wasn't supposed to end this way. I went to your family with your blood-soaked babe, buried you and retired her that day. Rose sent you on a suicide mission and to an early grave. I followed you into a battle between blue and gray. Before we knew it, a bullet found its way into your chest. I was left alone to carry all the love we professed. I draped your lifeless body over your steed, leading you both back home with me. We rose from the ashes, carrying letters we held. Our mission was clear in the wilderness where we dwelled. We'd ride all day, sometimes through the night, making love when we rested by campfire light. It wasn't supposed to end this way. I went to your family with your blood-soaked babe, buried you and retired her that day. Buried you and retired her that day.
I haven't done the fade out yet. There's a little bit of a noise floor. We're using SM57s, two of them. And it was recorded in the mountains of Kentucky, where the electrical grid is not the most stable. Anyway, I need to collect my notes here and back very shortly. All right, gain reduction minus 0.05. It's practically nil. We've got a meter rating of AA Transcendent, doesn't get any higher. You might have noticed that it hit AD Transcendent very early on. And then not long after that, ticked up to AB, I think. And then to AA. What I'm left with is another problem, but it's actually a good problem to have. That problem is that actually it hits Transcendent maybe a little bit too early. That indicates that, I don't know, I do know. I like there to be a bit more of a gradual build in the energy that registers a Transcendent rating. But again, I mean, it's like first world problems. That's a good problem to have. Okay, so how did I get it from Legendary to Transcendent? Well, it's an interesting question. I had a game plan, and originally that game plan consisted of two things, really. And, well, what I'm going to do now is pause it again, go back into the mix project and show you what I did there. And then I'll come back here into the master project and show you one other thing that I did. So back in a flash. This is the mix project. This is the vocal aux track, vocal auxiliary track. Right here is the chain for the vocal auxiliary track. It consists of Airwindows Console 8 sub in. If you don't know what that is, I'll be explaining it in the next video. I've got here UADX 610A preamp, which I really like what it does with Brian's voice. I was using Analog Obsession Neve preamp emulation, but I switched to this SSL style EQ, Analog Obsession, SSQ. Analog Obsession mid-boss, that's what this automation envelope is all about right here. This ramps up mid-boss drive as it goes into the final stretch of the song. We've got TDR Nova controlling the airs and that spike at 4 kilohertz, that resonant spike that he has in his voice. We've got, okay, this was part of my strategy, adding Airwindows PurestDrive between Nova and UAD LA2A optical compressor. All right. Then there's Marvel GEQ, Voxengo, Overtone GEQ, also from Voxengo. We've got a little push from Airwindows Purest Gain, which is what this automation envelope is about. Also part of my strategy. And then ending with Console 8 sub out. Again, I'll be explaining Console 8 in the next video. It's key to, it comes right out of this video here. And I'm not going off of scripts tonight because Gemini has been hallucinating something fierce and I've caught it in all kinds. It's just bonkers tonight. So, okay. Basically, here's the strategy. PurestDrive, I'm going to put it in very simple terms. PurestDrive doesn't increase gain. It's a very mathematically pure and it's a very pure form of saturation that anchors the signal to the mid image, to the center. This is a very wide soundstage, especially when it comes out through the master chain. This anchors the vocal to the center, gives it more of the right kind of energy in the center, so it doesn't smear out so much. Okay. And it feeds meter with the right kind of saturation energy, put it that way. And then here we have just some basically volume drawing. Okay. But I'm using Purest Gain by Airwindows. And if you don't know what that is or what it does, it's exactly as the name implies, Purest Gain. It's very, very clean gain management. And so this was just to jog meter with some extra. The idea is to give it a little bit more extra slew energy. Okay, that's what I did here in the mix. And I ended up doing one more thing that you might have noticed that sounds a little bit warmer than it did before. One reason for that is that I added another bus with an Airwindows plugin called WolfBot. And I will be discussing that in another video soon as well. But I got to keep this under 15 minutes, so I'm going to pause it again and go back into the mastering chain project. All right, back into the mastering project. Here's the mastering chain again right over here. Right before Barricade, the limiter, I've got Airwindows Air4. I don't have the time to really go into what this thing does. Maybe I'll do an entire video on it. But I'll just put it this way. At default settings, you got 4 knobs here: air, ground, dark F, I forget what the F stands for, and ratio. Now, we talked about slew last time and how that affects the meter's response to the signal. Default settings in Air4 are air 0.50, ground 0.50, dark F 0.52. Ratio, I believe the default is 0. If you set ratio, crank it all the way to 1.0000 with the others at default settings, what you get is a hard slew limiter where you will never get one of those over slew spikes. But the thing is that that hard limit, that ceiling, can make the signal a little bit too polite and take away a certain kind of slew energy that will often cause meter to tick up its rating. And I've experienced it quite a few times. What I normally do if I'm like at Legendary and I want to tick it up into Transcendent, I'll back dark F from 0.52 to 0.45 usually, and then I'll just start to pull ratio down from 1.00 until those red over slew spikes just start to appear. And then I'll turn it up again just a little bit more until they disappear. And what that does is it causes sonority to climb. It generally results in an uptick in the meter rating. And, well, because of some things that I don't have time to go into explaining, it also increases the depth of the soundstage a little bit. Okay, so I'm out of time. Thank you for watching. Gentlemen on the committee, thank you for your patience. A lot goes into this, and it can be trying on the patience at times, but plunging ahead. May the winds of clarity blow ever in your favor. This is Vinyl Bear from lovely scenic Paju City, South Korea. Over and out.